Welcome back to the DIY Designer. Full disclosure, I'm freezing my butt off out here, but it's way better lighting than in the house. So you gotta do what you gotta do. Well, I wanna give you a little sneak peek of what I'm making today. Take a look at these boots. Oh, I'm obsessed. And we're gonna get into that DIY right now, but what I do wanna do is I just want to thank you guys for sticking with me and being here. I know that I haven't been super consistent with my videos. Life got a little bit crazy recently. We bought a new house, my husband started a new job, there's a lot of travel involved, and I got really overwhelmed and I just wasn't able to stay on a consistent schedule. I really appreciate you sticking with me and watching these videos. For today's project, we are going to be making these incredible Yves Saint Laurent boots. Now, I first saw them in a photo of Rihanna. I saw them and obviously they're just incredible. They almost look like that Kira Kira app, but in real life. And they're so epic, but they are incredibly expensive, like $10,000 expensive. And I knew it was only a matter of time before brands were gonna start knocking them off, which has happened, and they're just not nearly as cool. So I wanted to try to make my own. Take a look. Oh, mama. Okay, so I found exactly what I need. This has the crystal, like shimmery chain shine perfectly, 90s, 2000. And this man, Ben. Isn't he the best? I love Ben. That was so nice of him to give that discount. And we're gonna get started right now. And the one thing that you're gonna need for this is gonna be E6000 and hot glue. And we're actually gonna be using the two together, and that's gonna be really key, and I'll explain why. Let's get started. All right, so we're gonna start off with our E6000, and I'm just gonna put a nice decent amount all along the edge. You really wanna make sure to get very close to the sole of the shoe because we don't wanna see any of that shoe showing. Next, I just sort of created a grid. You don't need to fill the entire thing in because you don't wanna do a really heavy amount of glue. Now we're gonna take the corner of our panel, this is a square, so just take one of the corners, and start off on the toe. Make sure that you start on the toe and work your way backwards, making it nice and tight on the edge there right by your sole. I peeled back the edge and I added a little bit of hot glue because what this is going to do is it's actually going to be like an anchor point because hot glue sets up really fast and E6000 takes a while. So our hot glue is going to hold it in place while our E6000 has all the time it needs to dry. This just makes it a lot easier for us to work. Now I'm going to start working my way all the way around the boot. So I'm going kind of section by section, as you can see, doing the same grid system with the glue. And again, always making sure that you apply just a tiny bit of hot glue. Really, you don't want a lot. The E6000 should be doing most of the work here. It's just acting as an anchor. So you can see there, that edge, that's really important. We do not want to see any of the boot. We just want to see crystal right into the sole of our boot. So I'm gonna flip it over and do my other side, but when you do it, make sure to kind of lay it on the table so that it's really holding it into place. Next, take our E6000 and you're going to do the other side of it as well. Obviously, this is really just a step and repeat process. You just want to be really mindful of keeping everything in place. Now we're gonna work on the arch of the boot. It's okay if a little bit of that mesh panel hangs over because we're gonna be able to trim it after the fact. This was one large section all at once because you'll see the entire thing just sort of lays over it like that. Perfect. There was no need to do that in smaller sections. Again, anything overlapping the heel is fine. We're gonna trim that excess afterwards. Alrighty, now we're gonna do the other side. You're going to obviously, same thing, grid system, work your way over, just enough that it's gonna really hold it into place and kind of keep checking your sides. Now I laid it flat and I cut off the majority of the excess on the top. You can see that I have about 2 to 3 inches of excess, and that's because I wanted to actually fold it inside the boot. I wanna make sure that when you're looking at the boots from the outside, you can't even see the boot on the inside at all. All you see is crystal mesh. So by hanging it over, it really made that kind of very easy. Use your fingers to keep pushing things into place. Again, the E6000 takes a minute to set up, so you have that time. I started wrapping it around the back side, but I only did one side at first, and you'll see why. I trimmed the edge down the center of the back, and originally I planned on having a perfect seam down the center of the back, but when I wrapped the inside panel around the front and I saw how pretty that drape was, I flipped out. I loved how that drape looked. Yeah, it was so exciting to me. Plus, it made it a lot easier because it was less cutting and I didn't have to have a perfect seam. So I just glued that panel to the crystal mesh and that was it. Now we're gonna go in and trim up our edges. Start off by the toe. You just wanna make sure to have a perfectly rounded edge, and you need really sharp scissors for this. You can kind of cut free any random loose crystals that you have, and now we're gonna do the arch. If you run your scissors along the arch of the boot, you'll actually be able to feel exactly where you need it to go. The boot's gonna act as a guide, kind of telling your scissors where to go. I went up the back of the heel and that piece popped right out. So I'm doing the other side. I went up the heel and now I'm going back up the arch. Again, exactly the same as I did on the other side, using my boot to guide my scissors along in the right direction. I'm trimming it around the back, and this doesn't need to be perfect because of that beautiful drape. And I just decided to trim off that edge a little bit. Now it's time for the heel. I laid my boot down just to give myself like a general guide of how much fabric I needed to cover my heel. So I cut one panel, laid it on top, and cut a second because obviously I have two heels. So this is just giving us like an easier, more manageable piece to work with. Now I decided to actually create my high heel pattern with a piece of paper. It's a scrap piece of paper. Use the edge, like feel for the edge, and just use a pencil. You'll be able to feel and follow the curve of the boot. And this pattern is only a half of a pattern. And you'll see in a minute why we do that. But so you can see I'm wrapping it around, and right there, that's the center of the inside of my heel. I'm gonna fold it right there. So see, I've got a half a pattern, a perfect half. So I cut off that excess, and there it is, that's my heel pattern. So now take your crystal mesh, fold it in half, and lay your pattern on top of it on the fold. Now, when I cut it, I'm following the line, and you'll see we open it and we have a perfectly symmetrical pattern. There you go, that's perfect. So now I'm adding the glue to the heel, just the same, kind of a grid pattern as we did. You don't need to cover the whole thing. And I decided to put it in between my legs so I had a little more leverage. And now I'm laying my pattern piece right on top of the heel. You really want to focus on the top first. Make sure that the top is seamless because we can always trim off that excess on the bottom. So really use your thumbs to slide it into place so that there's no black showing or any boot showing whatsoever. Now we go in with our scissors and you just trim off the edge. This is the exact same thing that we've done everywhere else. Trim it so it's nice and even so that you're not walking and crunching any of those crystals. You want it to be flush to the ground. And this is it. That is it. You guys, just wait till you see them. Seriously, wait. I mean, come on! I'm so happy with the way they came out. They are so gorgeous. And I actually really love the cropped ankle version even more than I think the knee high. I just think I'm gonna wear them so much more. I can wear them with jeans, shorts, skirts, anything. They're just really versatile and really cool. And I'm so glad I finally had the guts to do it because it was not nearly as scary as I had thought it would be. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Make sure to comment if you have any questions or if you just liked it, and make sure to like and share and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me through this whole process. I really appreciate it. Bye guys.